Hello. Hi. Oh, I gotta take my mask and my glasses off. I am slacking. Your girl just came back from getting her nails did. I just love a good ombre. I have to keep it simple because of work, but I put a little subtle glitter in there. Don't tell nobody. You can't really see it, but it's a little glitter in the pink. You know what I'm saying? So, oh, I just love the length. Nothing like some fresh nails. Like nothing like some fresh nails. So I'm coming to you live with no makeup. We're talking bare face, like bare face, and that's okay. So originally this week I had a completely different video planned. I'll probably end up redoing that video because I still like the idea. I just didn't like how the footage came out. So I figured I will give you guys a trope video. So today I'm going to be talking about some of my very specific tropes that I like and enjoy in books. They're oddly specific. So some of them you're going to be like, Capri, we going into depths that far? But yes, we're going to go into depths that far. I have like either 10 or 11. So let's get into them. Because your girl is about to go get some food, so I'm gonna have to make this quick. Hopefully I can make this video 10 minutes or less. That is the goal. Okay, so the first thing that I like in books is book readers in books. Like I like when there's like a character that really loves books, or a character that's like a librarian, or a character that's in a publishing company, or a character that's an illustrator, like something related to books. I really just like seeing a character that's relatable to me, because I'm just like, when they talk about that new book smell, or just talk about enjoying reading a book and being engulfed in the world, I'm just like, yes. Obviously, if we're reading the book, we can relate to it because we're readers. So it's like when you see a character that just loves books, or a character that enjoys just having books around them, or their job is something to do with books, I see you moments, because it's just like very relatable, because your girl loves books, so does every other reader. And yes, I think everyone's dream is to be surrounded by books all day. Less people, more books. Thank you. Okay, so the next trope that I have is cooking in books, but then when they include the recipe. Like I like when they talk about a dish, but then when they put the recipe there, when they talk about a dish, it's easy for you to understand like whether it's savory or sweet or whatever. But like when they put the recipe there, if you're a cook, or you cook your meals or whatever, I cook a lot. So like when they actually put the seasoning and all that stuff in there, and they're like, oh, you can make this at home. I love that. Like I love, even if it's just like one recipe, like, oh, you can bake these cupcakes at home, and they just like include it in the book. I'm just like, yes, like I would love to just like go through some of my books that have recipes and maybe cook them, because it's just like really cute that you can like take something from a book and bring it into your life. I love that so much. It's just like taking a little piece of the book along with you. It's very, very adorable. Okay, so this is where we're gonna get a little bit oddly specific. So the next one that I have is when the love interest is a shapeshifter, but like very out of the loop in regards to like the human world. So like I like when like the main character, like if it's a guy, if the main character is like a shapeshifter and his animal form is like a dog or a wolf or whatever. I like when they shift and they're just like so innocent, and they just like do things that are just like, why would you do this? You know what I mean? Like I really, really like that trope. And it's usually like the guy characters, and they kind of shift and they still have that like mental agility of their animal form. I don't know how to explain it. Like precious innocence. Like they'll be walking around in public with no shirt on, or walking around with no pants, or like they'll think that socks are a hat. You know, like the things like that, where it's just like they really just don't know what the hell is going on. I just think it's so cute, and it really makes the character more lovable. It's just like one of my favorite oddly specific tropes. The other two aren't too specific, but this one is oddly specific. But I just remember reading probably like 2 or 3 books where it's like a shapeshifter and they have that characteristic, and I always end up loving that character so much. The next one that I have is when girls are like not enemies, but they don't understand each other. Like they have like a misunderstanding, or their personalities don't click, and then they're forced to complete like some type of task or mission together, and then they end up becoming almost sisters. I just like seeing like the wall kind of melt away, and then certain things that used to frustrate them about the character or used to aggravate them, or they used to feel like that character was ignorant, now they look at them after a long travel or after completing like a mission together and realizing like, oh, they really just don't understand this, or oh, this just isn't their way of life, and it slowly starts forming into like a sisterhood. Because I've said before, but sisters in books are one of my all-time favorite tropes. I like seeing the dynamics and the characteristics of sisters because it's just very specific, and I just love seeing it in paperback form. When it's characters that aren't even related and they don't like each other, but they're forced to be around each other, and then they slowly start becoming sisters, but they still, you know what I'm saying, they don't change who they are. They're still exactly the same person, but they're more understanding. I love that trope so much. It just makes me so happy just seeing that character develop a understanding of the person that they're traveling with and just like form this like unbreakable bond. It's just next trope that I have that is one of my favorites is overprotective younger siblings. Like, it's very common for people to talk about like older siblings or the personality or characteristics of an older sibling, but I feel like younger siblings aren't really touched on that much. A lot of younger siblings are honestly a lot more, I don't want to say aggressive, but a lot more protective of their older sibling. I just like when the younger sibling just like does not play about their older sister, older brother, or whatever, and they kind of like in ways like sabotage other relationships because they don't trust the people that their sibling is in cahoots with, so they kind of like sabotage like romantic relationships and friendships because they're just like trying to protect their older sibling. I just think that's so cute. I like seeing how it's like, okay, when we were younger you always protected me, and now we're adults and I don't want nobody, you know, hurting you or making you upset or whatever. I just think it's so funny. And like younger siblings are always way more like over the top in a way. I don't know how else to explain it, but they're always like way more extra with just the things that they do, especially in books, and I really love it. A perfect example of that is one of the mangas that I just finished, Sweat and Soap, and she started dating this guy that she works with, and she introduces him to her family, and then she introduces him to her younger brother, and he is just like not having it. The guy that she's dating is a really good guy, but he's just like like he was not having it. He was like trying to sabotage the date, but it just was really, really funny. So that's like the perfect example of what I'm talking about. Childhood friends to enemies to lovers. Like I just like seeing that long time span spread out of them just like being in the same state or being in the same city and like liking each other as kids, but having like this small animosity, and then when they become like teenagers or young adults they can't stand each other and they have like this back and forth battle, and then when they become adults they slowly start falling in love. Like I just love seeing that boop, 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 like breakdown, because it's just like a long timeline and you get to have like these backflashes of them as kids. They look at things that happen as children and as teenagers and talk about it as an adult, and I just like seeing that. I just like seeing the memories. I like seeing them discuss how they feel, and just that just long time span just gives me the ultimate comfort. I know like enemies to lovers is like really big, and bully trope is really big. That's not my thing, but I know that's really common. But like childhood enemies to lovers is where it's at. Like that's where it's at. That's all I'm gonna say. The next trope that I have is seeing social media personalities, whether they're like YouTubers or bloggers or like anyone that's like basically like social media people, influencers, you know, Instagram personalities, all stuff like that, YouTubers, be in books and seeing them like fall in love, just seeing like their day-to-day life. Because I feel like a lot of people just like look at influencers and look at social media people and feel like, oh, their job is so easy, oh, it's so simple, everything. And that is not the case. So I like when they're in books because you actually get to see the things that they have to deal with, especially like some people are so hateful and so just mad for no reason, but then you tie in like a romance and someone that's not a social media personality actually gets to see the things that they deal with. I really, really, really like that trope because I just feel like it shines a different light on being an influencer, because people just think you just take pretty pictures and smile and you get all this money, and that's just not the case. Because like, that's really not the case. People, especially even if you're not even an influencer, just having a social media presence, some people are really rude. There's a lot of things you have to deal with mentally, and even when you're successful, then you have to feel like, oh, like what's my next thing gonna be, like what am I gonna do next to keep the same level of success, you know what I mean? Like it's this constant like personality, what is it called, it's something, this happens every time, and then when I edit I remember what I'm trying to say. Oh my god, I'm really blanking. What the hell is it called? It's low-key driving me crazy. Imposter syndrome. I was googling it and it came to me. Imposter syndrome, that's what it is. Imposter syndrome, where you like second guess every single thing you do, and even when you're successful you still feel like, what am I gonna do next? Imposter syndrome, that's what it is. I feel great. Like I'm glad I figured that out. So I just really like seeing a different light being shown on that, but also seeing them fall in love and find their happiness and find their peace and find that balance between being a social media person and having a romance, you know what I mean? I really like seeing that trope a lot. Okay, the next oddly specific trope that I have is when someone can control elements, like control like plants growing, or control the weather, or control fire, anything that has to do with like world elements, but then they also have like a sidekick that's an animal that chose them specifically. I really, really like that trope where it's like you get to a specific age and then like, oh, this animal's gonna pick you or whatever. Like how badass is it to be like controlling plants and shit, and then you just got a cheetah chilling on your side because it matches your personality? Like I really love just the animals being similar to the character's personality, but them also being in control of like elements of the world. All of that tying together is just like the perfect little mixing bowl, you know what I'm saying? The perfect little mix. I think if I had like a side character, I don't know what I would probably have a cat or some type of like either a lion, a cat, a cheetah, a panther, something like that. Probably a lynx. I probably would have a lynx. A lynx would be really, really cool. Just me growing the plants, controlling the elements with my lynx on my side. Love that for me. Okay, I think this is my last trope. So my last trope that I have is when it's another sidekick thing. I just like seeing the sidekicks that are like robots, the little robots that like talk and they have like attitude, you know what I mean? I don't know what the hell they would be called, but like the little, because it's always something that's like set in space or something that's like way in the future or whatever, some shit like that, and they have like some type of robotic partner, pal, or whatever, partner on the side, but like they have a memory chip that obviously is supposed to program them, but they have their own like little flair to them. I really, really I love that, because they honestly usually end up being the best character because they're just funny as hell, and it's just like their dialect and just how they be snapping back and just like getting people together. I love it so much. That is the end of this video. Let me know if you guys like any of these tropes or what your oddly specific trope is in the comment section below. And if you've made it to the end of this video, leave a palm tree. Capri's Book Island, so leave a palm tree, you know what I'm saying? Because we all on this island together, my friends. Thank you. I will see you next week. I might redo the video that I was supposed to be doing this week. We'll see. So I'll see you guys next week. I'm about to go get something to eat. Peace and love. Bye.